Hello there. Thanks for stopping by. Welcome to Messing About with a Narrowboat. So it's been a good few weeks since we've been down at the boat, about 3. One of that was on holiday, but just before we went on holiday I was lifting some plywood into the boat, episode 58 if you're a regular viewer, and I kind of hurt my back a bit. Well, the a bit got a bit bigger bit, and it turns out I've torn my glutes, my backside muscle. So ouch! I've been taking it easy for a few weeks because it's been really painful to stand and walk. It's still a bit painful to stand and walk, but it's time to come back to the boat and crack on with some stuff. So this week is I'm going to get stuff done. I'm not quite sure what. Depends on how well my leg holds out, and we'll kind of take it from there. So stick with us. We'll both be surprised at what I get done. So I've been away for 3 weeks. You come back and the boat has moved. Well, that's a relief actually. It's a bit lower down than before, which means I can get to things a bit easier. I can actually see what the front looks like now. It's not too bad actually. Where I can start anything, I need to go and do a bit of hunting.
Don't despair.
Right, sometime later I've found and fitted the tarpaulin for the stern. Bit painful when you got a sore back though. Oh, at least the ladders are a decent pair of ladders like before, and I can get up, which is great. A lot less strain on my sore hip. Got to sort out some power now. Right, I've got power. Luckily before I went away on holiday we offloaded the power from the meter in the polytunnel, so I had some power on my card. So done all of that, sorted all of that out, so we're kind of back to, I've got a cover now, so when the rain and the snow comes in a few days, we're good. Tell you what though, trying to fit the tarpin back on in the wind on your own with a sore back or bottom is it's quite painful. So I'm sitting down for a moment just to let my glutes freshen up. Ow. Yeah. So what's the plan? There's a few bitty straggly things to do. They've obviously craned the boat back into where it was before, which I'm very grateful for, particularly with a torn glute muscle. It means I don't have to climb up. Oh, that was quite nice. The guys at the boatyard and neighbours had saw the doors open and came up to see if everything was okay. If the doors had blown open or something like that. That's just really nice actually. They're looking out for things, they're looking out for the boats and making sure they're all okay. That's nice. So now that we're out in the weather, I've had a chance to look through around the boat, checking the paintwork, which is quite good. There's a few areas that need attention. There's a few scuff marks in the entranceway, which is a shame really. Don't know how those happened, but there's a couple of scuff marks on the edge. I know how they happened. That happened when I pulled the plywood up. So one of my concerns about being outside after I had sanded ready for painting but the weather beat us is that have I weakened the primer at all? And I have a little. So there's a couple of places around the boat where there's a few rust marks. Just aggressive sanding. So I'll dig out the primer and I'll touch them up. There's about 5 in total, because it was kind of dark in the polytunnel. Sometimes it's difficult to see, but I do need to protect the primer and the steel boat over winter. So yeah, close inspection. It's only on the starboard side, which is the side I was concentrating on most. And I can see from water on the roof that the boat is still pointing down. It's a bit more level this time, but it is still pointing nose down. That's why all that water is gathering. There. I might ask you guys if we can do something about it. So at least the epoxy paint had a good time to cure before it's back out into the elements. So I'm really pleased about that. We'll see how it holds up over the winter, but from what I can see, it's doing just fine. Quite pleased with that. Quite pleased with the paint job, and I'm pleased with the paint job on the roof. Again, closer inspection shows that what I thought was lots of little sort of bubbles from the roller really isn't at all, and out in the daylight you can't see it, and over the curing time you can't see it. So yeah, I'm really pleased with the paint job on the roof. Oh, come inside, it's a wee bit cold. Yeah, so on inspection of the outside after the move, there's a couple of scrapes from the crane rope things, you know, the things that they lift it up with. It's quite muddy, actually, filthy. But in general, I can see that there's some rust, mostly on the seams when I've been sanding. Wee bit aggressive on the sanding. Couldn't see it when it was in the polytunnel because it was kind of dark. But I can get the wire brush out and fix them before it gets too bad. I'll just need to wait for a dry day, which won't be this week. It's a bit rubbish this week. So yeah, just giving myself a couple of other jobs to do. So what am I going to do now? Getting back into the swing, I think I'm going to do simple things. I think I'm going to put the light switches on in the lower area, in the saloon and the dinette, because I can do that sitting down easy enough there. I'll put these bulkheads up, maybe not today, but I'll certainly do them by the end of the week. And I'll finish off this bulkhead. I've got the noggins to put in there. Now the wood arrived for the finishing the lining out. At this moment in time, I'm not going to lift that wood out of my garage and into the boat, just because I need to give a bit more time, and I've got some physio later in the week for my hip. Try and get this gluteus maximus, my arse muscle, to stop spasming so that I can stand up and my legs don't give way on me. And then the rest of the week I'm going to look at finishing the bow. Now this is quite a challenging area. So the water tank's got to go in, the water feeds have got to go in, the air vents have got to go back, but really the lining out is a bit odd. The bow's lining is quite complicated-ish. The boat, the front, it expands out, so the whole lining was 960 millimeters, but here it goes up, so it curves up and it curves down, so I can't use my standard 960, so I'm going to have to scribe a panel in. So we've put up, just before we went on holiday, we put up this panel as a template, and I'll scribe that in when I can stand upright for a bit, because I can't do that just now. This lot is all covered in junk and wood, so that will need to get moved. But it's kind of going to be a challenge because it curves. The thing curves round. So I'm going to have to make sure that when we put it up, we put the braces across it, hold it in. The nav lights have to go on as well. So this is the wires for the nav lights. So I have to make a decision on where the nav lights are going to go. I've kind of worked it out to be roughly round here. So again, I need to look at the nav lights and look at the wiring, simply because you want the light, you want the cables to be accessible, and the last thing I want to do is have them behind a piece of ply lining and it be completely inaccessible. So we'll have to make the connection up in the rafters, really, which means running a cable up or down and having some room behind here. So I need to figure that out. Where does the sweep start on the boat? So technically, to have the nav lights straight either side, where the boat turns in, you don't want the nav lights there, because then they'll just join on in a light. We need to make sure that the nav lights are straight. So a bit later on I'll go outside and I'll look exactly where the start of the curve goes. It's either going to be just there, which is very close to the window, or my preference is here behind the window. Could of course put them down at the bow, but then I've run the cables for here, so yeah, not doing that. You can see the curve a bit better here. So what else have we got to do in the bow? Well, the air vents, they've got to get a wee cupboard or lining on them. I'm going to build a headboard. We've got to plumb in the water tank, make a bed. There's the water tank there, so that's got to get down. The other side's got to get done. TV bracket's got to get finalised, just depending on where the nav lights go, really. And I've got to clear all this junk wood out of the front. So that's the plan. Over the next few weeks, we're just going to be focusing on the bow. It will take me a while. It's a two-person job, I think, so Roma's going to have to help probably at the weekends, but you know, it's coming up to Christmas. Our weekends are now seeing friends and family, like everybody else's, mostly. So yeah, we're gonna have to kind of figure things out as we go. But I'm not emptying all this wood out the front of the bow, because it's just painful at the moment. So I did this off camera. I've got the light switches on, just neatens it up because of all the wires that were hanging out the wall. So happy with that. Just kind of going slow and steady, easing myself back into it, and keep looking at the bow. Got some ideas. So I'm going to wrap up for today because it's nice and dark outside. And we'll start again tomorrow. I've got a plan in my head now. I've got it all worked out, sequence of events. So time to go and execute. So another day at the boat, just continuing on with the bits and bobs we've got to do. Focusing on the bulkheads today. A bit of a late start. My back was a bit sore yesterday after the pushing and pulling of stuff. So off camera, I've added an extra 50mm onto the bathroom to bedroom bulkhead. That allows me to put a smaller door in, a 21-inch door. So next job before we put the lining up is fill in these gaps with some Celotex. It's a simple case of measuring and marking out. I'll show you when I'm done. You don't really need to see me measuring and cutting some foam. So that's one done. I'll just put some spray foam in there just to seal it in. 8 to go. That doesn't take very long. That's one side done. So there we go, a couple of hours later. That's the insulation in the bulkheads. You know, the worst part of that job is listening to the radio at the beginning of December, because every other song is a bloody Christmas song. And the presenter's going, "Don't you just love Christmas?" "No, I bloody don't."
I hate Christmas!
Might have to find a radio station with no Christmas songs at all. That's unlikely, isn't it? Oh dear. Time to lock it in with a little bit of spray foam. Okay, so we'll let that spray foam dry. It's really quite late now, it's quite dark. It's not late, it's just dark. So tomorrow, clean that up, get the bulkheads up. Hey. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. No!
You were driven mad by an earworm.
Next job for today is finish this bulkhead. So I've added the noggins in, it's easy enough. And then I'm just working on the template. But the floor here, while the nose goes down, the floor goes up. So I just need to fettle my template and we'll get that fitting. Then what I've decided to do is I'll take the template home and I'll trim the wood at home on the template. That will make it a bit lighter to carry because it's an 8x4 sheet of ply. And I've got friends coming at the weekend, so maybe they can help me get the wood on board. See, they put another boat in the polytunnel, and I thought my boat was high up. Bloody hell, it's going to be hard work. So, next job on the list is make a template for this lining. So I'm going to scribe it in. Well, I couldn't do it one-handed, but that's quite a sweep there. Trim that off and then fettle it in and see where we get to. Well, that's not bad. First cut was not too bad, and then I've just fettled it in with a little block plane, trimmed it up, and it's sitting nicely. So I'll transfer that template to the big sheet. I'm pretty sure there'll be some minor adjustments when it goes in, but I've checked on the other side as well, and the same template works for both curves. A wee bit of tidying up to do. Temperature's dropped a bit, I can't put my heater on and the vacuum cleaner because it trips a fuse. So a bit of tidy up, ferry that to the car. I think tomorrow it's going to be rainy quite heavily, so it gives me something to do in the garage. Yeah, good day today. Certainly cracked on with loads of stuff. Got a bit more done than I thought I would get done, which is good. It's always good when you're ahead. But it's going to be raining for the next few days, quite heavily apparently. So I've decided I've shifted all of that template into my car. I'll take it home and I can work in the garage, and then I can paint the plywood after I cut it. It will still need trimming and sort of fettling in when I come to actually fit it properly. But you know, and get ahead of the game. I can't put the nav lights in just yet, again because of the rain, so that's going to hold me up a bit. And plus my back's a bit sore, as you know, and I don't really want to go climbing up some ladders trying to figure out where I should be drilling a hole. That's just asking for trouble. So we'll park that one for the moment, but there's loads of other things to get on with. I think I stayed a bit too late. Now I've got to figure out how to get the cover on and get the power off in the dark. Today, bit of a wet day. My back was really quite painful overnight. I think I overdid it a bit yesterday. So in the garage, let's go on with these templates. Simple case of laying the template on the sheet of ply, making sure it all lines up, and then we'll go for a cut. Simple enough. Interestingly though, the new sheets of ply are longer than the old sheets of ply. Now in theory it's the same curve on the bottom half, but I forgot to check. It measures the same, but I think I'll just double check before I go and cut a big lump of wood off. So now it's time to cut the bulkhead panel. Now, the bathroom bulkhead, the bedroom bulkhead is wider than the template. So the only thing I can do really is line it up in the bottom edge and just check the width is equidistant. I'm not going to cut the straight edge here. I'll do that on the boat because I can scribe it in to the bulkhead size. Even though the panel is only half the width of the main bit, I took the top part off of the saloon entrance because that's already scribed to shape, and that's given me the full shape across the board. So easy to cut. And a little while later, with some careful cutting, there's one bulkhead panel. I'm really pleased with those templates. So that's both bulkhead panels cut, 2 bow panels cut. Time for a cup of coffee, and then we start 4 days of painting. Yep, 2 coats of everything. And we're on our way. That's first coat of Zinsser bin on the first panel. So what's that going to be? 8 coats, 2 each, and then a coat of some kind of solvent, trade, cheap glossy stuff.
No more Christmas.
60 hours later and it's still not dry. Needs a wee bit longer. Was going to take it down the boat today and put it on, but that's not going to happen. Well, I've got 3 more to do. So instead, come down to the boat to check out the panel curve. It's definitely not the same curve angle from top to bottom. That's a shame. So here it's okay, here it's okay, but there it just goes. That would be too deep. I've got no choice but to come up with a full board and scribe it in situ. I was just trying to save myself a bit of effort and get it done in the garage. Still, that's fair enough. Quality control inspectors here today.
Yeah.
So that's the end of another week. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for liking.
And thanks for subscribing, and thank you for staying with us. I know I've been away for 3 weeks. Hopefully we'll get things finished off
back on
next
track,
week.
Get back on track with things.
There's a lot of wood lifting on the boat next week.
Exactly, before the Christmas comes. And
Yeah, I'm trying to get the lining finished before Christmas, and that would wrap up the year.
Got a few weeks left, so.
But we'll see how we get on next week. So that's it. Thank you for sticking with us. Sorry for the 3-week delay.
I know.
But you know,
Culmination of things. But anyway, back in action.
so until next time.
Bye.